G'day, we're here on board Naranga. In recent months I've actually installed an induction cooktop to replace our aging metho stove. Now there's a few reasons for that. I mean, one, that you can't buy parts for the old Maxi Marine stoves anymore, and two, we almost burnt the boat down a few years ago because of the metho stove, because when you have two burners burning and if one blows out, you end up with a flood of metho that then catches from the other one and catches fire. The induction cooktop, much quicker, much cleaner, uses a bit of power, but if you manage your power correctly, it actually is quite manageable. We've found it quite practical. And we'll show you what's involved, what we've done with the install, and some of the pros and cons. All right, so it took quite a while to find an induction cooktop that'd be suitable for a trailer sailor, because a lot of the small induction cooktops actually are very, very high wattage still. And that is a problem for running it off a 12-volt system through an inverter. This one here is a total of 2400 watts, 1400 watts on the larger burner, and 1000 watts on the smaller burner, which is manageable because if you have both burners going full steam, you're going to be what we've found in practice, we're drawing about 220 amps. Not that you're going to be using it on full steam for very long, so I mean that is manageable, but it is something to consider when looking for induction cooktops to put in your trailer sailor, because if you start putting 3,000 and 4,000 watt cooktops in your trailer sailor, there's not a chance in the world that you'll actually be able to run it off your 12-volt system. Alright, so this Westinghouse 2 hot plate induction stove, I'll say it's probably the most suitable you can find for trailer sailors and caravans, that sort of thing. It cost me just over $200, which is pretty good value. The thing to remember with these particular small hot plates is that they're not continuously variable heat controls, so they basically turn on full power and off again to regulate on and off continuously. Right, so we'll turn the hot plate on first, put it up. It starts off at 800 watts on both hot plates when you first turn them on. This one will go up to 1400 watts, and the thing to remember is that 1400 watts, you divide it by 10, it gives you roughly the amps that you're going to be using at 12 volts. So you're looking, 130, 140 amps. All right, so that's about 4 minutes to boil, actually 3 cups of water. That's pretty good going. Turn it off, instantaneous off. No flames, no hassles and that sort of thing, so very, very safe. We'll turn the power back on, and we'll put the power on 800, or put it down to, we'll put it up to 600, and you'll see the cooktop will turn on and off, and then it turns off again automatically. So that's how it regulates. So it's not a continuously temperature control, but it just basically turns the power on and off on a regular cycle depending on the wattage set to give you a certain amount of cooking. You put it on temperature on the other hand, basically it will regulate your temperature, but that relies on the surface of the cooktop having heated up already to that temperature. So I find the power settings far, far more usable. Okay, so the next component of the system for the induction cooking is the inverter. Given that we use a theoretical 2400 watts on full power, you really do need to oversize your inverter a bit over that, so we went for the 3000 watt inverter. Now these King's inverters get pretty good reviews on YouTube. There are a few analytical people who pull them apart and show you all the components, and they look pretty well built, and I haven't had any complaints yet. They are quite big though, so they're quite hard to fit in, but yep, you certainly need that. And the cabling, I don't know if you can see behind there, I've used 2-gauge cables doubled up so that the rating for the two together are 360 amps or thereabouts, so I've got plenty of capacity, and they go directly through a isolation switch and to the battery via a circuit breaker. And all these things have to be beefed up to cope with those large currents. I've just installed it on a dividing shelf between the saloon bunk and the quarter berth. It fitted nicely there, and you got to have a, well, I mean, I've installed a 250 amp circuit breaker so that it's just over the amperage that I should be using, and it's that pretty important to do that too. And then you also have to have an isolation switch for your induction cooktop that can handle the 240 old amps that it might use on full power. Not that it'll be using that most of the time, but it can use it occasionally. So anyway, so they're the components. When you have it all switched on, it's simply a matter of pressing the button, inverter comes on, and I have the wire via the plug there coming over the other side of the boat here, and your induction cooktop's powered. So this is our battery monitor. It's a proper Coulomb battery level monitor that measures the and calculates the battery capacity and the usage. You can see our hot plate's on at 1400 watts at the moment, and the bottom figure there, you can see we're using about 108 amps continuous. So it does use a fair bit of power on full, but of course that boils very quickly and then you turn it down. The bottom meter there is simply our solar charge that's going in, so we know what component of the charge is going in. It's about 12 amps at the moment. But one of these battery meters is definitely an essential if you're going to think about having a induction cooktop on board. We have lithium batteries now, and we'll talk about them in a minute, but you really do need to keep track of how it's all going. And of course, to run an induction cooktop, you really do need to have lithium batteries, because the lead acid batteries, even though they might have a headline capacity that's the same, they can't be run down as far as a lithium battery, which can go down to about 20%. I've installed two 120 amp King's lithium batteries. Again, they've got really good reviews on YouTube, and I've seen some pretty interesting dismantling of the product to see that the components are really top quality. And if you have outboard charging onto those lithium batteries, you must install a DC to DC charger, otherwise you will cook your alternator. As we have outboard charging, we bought this Moby DC to DC charger. Look, there's plenty of brands out here there. This one was really reasonably competitively priced and has quite a reasonable review, so I thought we'll go for that one. Has separate solar and alternator inputs, which it handles by itself, so you don't have to worry about it. And it stops the alternator from being cooked by the low resistance that you find in lithium batteries. And without it, you will end up with a expensive repair to your outboard. All right, so we had pretty old solar panels on the boat, and when I did the sums about the induction cooktop, we really needed to improve our solar panel input. These are Perc backed solar panels. They're far more efficient than the old ones that we had on here, and well, in fact, it's almost like before the panels we had were exactly the same area, but these panels actually produce essentially another 30% more power than what we had on before. So it's like adding an extra panel without the extra area. So and we're finding that, you know, on a sunny day like today, as it is at the moment, we're getting a good 12 amps of power going into the batteries, and we're finding it's keeping up really well with our induction cooking and everything else that we use the power for on the boat. Pretty important for your cooktop to have it well secured, obviously, in a boat, because you can heel and you can get in rough conditions and such. Bunnings sells these little stainless steel angle brackets, which are quite handy for making brackets to hold the cooktop on. So I've made two back corner brackets. The two side brackets simply screw to the sidewall there, and the two corner side brackets screw on with wing nuts, so you can remove it easily. And as you can see, it's well and truly solid in its position, can't move. The next dilemma you have on a boat, of course, is how to stop your pots and pans sliding around. I haven't quite finished doing this yet, so you'll have to imagine the finished product in total. I've made a frame that hinges at the back on some of the angle brackets I put on to hold the stove down. That is there to hold fiddles that will hold the pots in position. been playing around with ideas for the fiddles, and this is my experimental bit here. Obviously these will end up having angles bent into them, a U-back thing around the back here, and they can slide until they slide into the pot side. So if we put the pot over here, the fiddle will lock into the side of the pot. You do the wing nut up and it stops it from sliding sideways or forward and backwards once you've got the angle bent into that fiddle. But that's, I'm still waiting on some stainless steel to finish that. So anyway, the pot holder is just 6mm round 316 stainless rod, and like I say, it folds up out of the way, so you can have it folded up out of the way, and very convenient. And like I say, once finished, it will hold those pots securely at quite steep angles of heel, so they don't slide around. Because obviously, a bit hard to put an induction stove onto a gimbal, so this is the next best solution. Another benefit of the induction cooktop is that when it's not in use, you can also use it as a bit of bench space, being nice and flat. There's these silicon mats you can buy from kitchen supplies and off eBay, etc. And they grip really nicely to the surface and provide you a non-slip surface that you can use as a bench top while sailing. And you can see it actually grips quite well and protects the cooktop from damage. But also, like I say, you can't have too much bench space in a trailer sailor. You know, a few things to look out for with induction cooking. One, get a unit that doesn't draw too many watts. It's better to take a little bit longer in terms of cooking time and less wattage, because you're going to have real trouble powering something that's over watt in terms of 12-volt system. Two, your inverters. People get caught out by this a lot. I actually make cabling for a bit of a living and sell it to people, and the biggest mistake people make with inverters is to actually undercable their inverters. You know, a 1500 watt inverter will use about 150 amps. You know, a 3000 watt inverter can use 300 amps. So, you know, you've got to make sure that your inverter is up to the job. And you also got to make sure that, you know, the battery system you put in also has the right capacity. You know, if you put in lithium batteries that can only put out 100 amps, you connect them in parallels, in other words, positive to positive, negative to negative. And, you know, if they can only put out 100 amps each, that'll be 200 amps total. Now, if you try to draw 250 amps out of them, you're going to cook your batteries. So you've got to be really, really careful about your whole system when you set it up. I mean, the batteries I got, which were the King's 120 amp hour batteries, have a continuous output current of 120 amps. So in total, 240 amps, which matches the maximum that cooktop will use. In fact, when you actually look at it in practice with a proper meter, it uses about 220 amps, in fact. So I'm covered by the batteries, but they had to be connected in parallel, of course, because 120 amps isn't enough. And you've got to make sure the cables can carry that current as well. So you've got to do both. But look, you know, when someone mentioned induction cooking for a trailer sailor, I said, oh, that's just ridiculous. But now that I've actually done the sums and I've done the homework to actually work out all the components, it's actually quite a good system, in fact. And I say, I don't have to carry metho. My cupboard that I used to keep my metho in is now empty, so it's free for other things. And you know, the cooktop cooks really, really quickly. I want a cup of tea, it's, you know, a few minutes and it's done. And it's a lot safer because you don't have that risk of metho leaking and catching fire like we have found out the hard way. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. You need lithium batteries, proper cabling, a big enough inverter to run the cooktop. Choose a cooktop that isn't too high a wattage. Like I say, I'd say 2,500 watts total is about as high as you want to go for a cooktop for a 12-volt system. And install a meter so you can track your battery usage, so you know that you're not going to draw your batteries, and have some way of charging them. Now, you know, I have a DC to DC charger now. My outboard alternator output can go through that safely without cooking it because it's connected to lithium batteries now. I have increased efficiency per solar panels, which are about 23-24% efficient compared to the 16% efficient my previous panels were. So again, that's really boosted my power input. So now it copes really, really well. So you do all those things, put it together, and I say it's a fantastic addition to the boat.